Howdy party animals. This video is going to be called Contention, and it's a follow-up from the last one that I released that was about the movie 310 to Yuma. That one was specifically about Charlie Prince, but this is a bit more general. I first saw this movie probably a long time before I lived in Tombstone, but I bought the Blu-ray and watched it in Tombstone. And one or two things in the movie started to trigger me. The first, obviously, is the title. Yuma is a border town. It's right on the Mexican-American border, some miles, maybe about 100 miles west of Tombstone. So that made me think, this movie must be set in the area that I'm living in. And then the second clue came along pretty well in the opening scene.
Coach is headed for Bisbee, boss. Girded with iron, pinks on top, double shotguns, and a Gatling.
And I thought, well, Bisbee, that's only just down the road from Tombstone, and it's a beautiful town. It's just packed full of Old Western mining history. I mean, it's so much better than Tombstone as far as a night out is concerned. There are wonderful bars and restaurants and, hotels to hang out in. I've spent many a happy evening in Bisbee. And so I thought, this movie must be set somewhere around here. And then came the scene later on in the movie when Charlie and the gang were chasing the coach that supposedly held his boss, only it didn't. They'd pulled a switcheroo on them, but they disabled the coach anyway, and there was a guy unfortunate enough to be locked inside of it. And so Charlie had this little conversation with him.
Contention! All right! We're going to Contention! We're going to put him on the 310 to Yuma prison tomorrow! Let me out of here! We're going to Contention!
They're going to Contention. They're going to put him on the 310 to Yuma. And again, I started to think, Contention, I've heard of that somewhere, so I had to sit down and have a little think and hope that I had sufficient brain cells left to try to remember what was going on. And then I remembered Fairbank, which is a really beautiful ghost town, only just down the road from Tombstone, which I've used as a hub for my desert walks. Now, Tombstone in its heyday was much, much more than you see now. It was a fantastic place to live in. They had really wonderful restaurants operating. You could buy oysters on the half shell packed in ice, shipped in every day. Fresh meat, fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, you name it. It came in, but it didn't come in on horseback or anything like that. just down the road from Tombstone was Fairbank, which was a major rail hub, and lots of lines from all over met up there, and that's where all the produce was shipped in every day by rail and then wagoned off into Tombstone. And today it's a really well preserved ghost town. It's obviously not a patch on what it used to be, but all the famous people that walk the streets of Tombstone, like the Clantons, the McClarys, the Earps, Doc Holliday, they all frequented Fremont as well. And so I went there and I started walking the trails. There are quite a few trails there that you can walk around in the desert. And I suddenly remembered that on one of those trails was a signpost labeled to Contention. Now at this point I'll hand over to a younger, fatter version of myself sometime a few years ago, speaking from my RV in Tombstone about this very subject. Howdy! I went up for a hike yesterday. There's a really great trail by Fairbank, which is an old ghost town near here, and that used to be the railhead when Tombstone was in its Wyatt Earp heyday. The railroad didn't come to Tombstone until 1902, so everything had to be shipped into Tucson or Fairbank by rail and then wagoned here. But they had fresh seafood every day, really good quality food and everything, and that's the way it got in. But anyway, there's some great trails out there, and I went on a hike. Now if you're hiking around here, you've got to be aware of three things you might meet on the trail. There are big cats, there are bears. What should you do if you meet a big cat? Well, the chances are you're not going to meet a big cat because they're much more aware of you than you are of them, and they don't want to interact with you, and they'll sneak away before you ever get aware of them. But there's just a chance you might surprise one of them. So what do? Well, you make yourself big, you stand up and, put your arms out like this, and don't yell or anything like that, but just make yourself as large as possible. Chances are, they don't want to know you. Chances are then they'll just turn and walk away. The one thing you must not do is turn away and run, because at that point you become a prey animal. They'll come after you and you're done. What happens if you meet a bear? Well, again, there is a chance that you may meet one, but usually they stay out of your way. The only exception to that is in the cubbing season. You might be unfortunate enough to meet a mother bear and her cubs. And if you do that, well, you've only really got two options. You either start shooting or you kiss your ass goodbye, because they're incredibly protective and they'll come after you, and there's no way you're going to out wrestle a bear, no matter what Crocodile Dundee or anyone says. What's the other one? The third one? The third wild animal species that you're likely to meet on the trail around here are illegal immigrants, because we're close to the border and there's a chance that you may bump into some of these guys either sneaking in or sneaking out or waiting to rob you. So the lesson to be learned here is never go on the trail alone. I always like to go with my two best friends, Mr. Smith and Mr. Wesson. these stand me in good stead. So, lesson hopefully learned. Happy hiking! Okay, so their bank is down there, that's the path, but if we go here, it's easy access into the track bed. And this is the disused track bed. That direction, Contention, points to the north. This direction, Nogales, points to the south. And now we're going to walk down here, and in a little while we should walk into Fairbank Station. I'm constantly listening out for what might be a ghost train coming up behind me. So if you hear anything, let me know. This is the path down there. This is a bridge over this gully. That sounds like a ghost train. No, it's just a highway. Bridge over the River Kwai? I don't think so. It's all rotten. What it must have been like in the day, eh? All rotten. But the track bed is in brilliant condition. They could relay the lines here very, very easily. But they don't. Probably because it goes from nowhere to nowhere nowadays. And here is Fairbank Station, coming up here. I think there's a path down from here. Hope so, otherwise I've got to go all the way back. And according to the map, up there is the main depot for this railroad. So I'll have to explore that one day. Here's the old platform. I'm not sure I ought to be standing on that. Looks decidedly iffy. But how many people did over the years get off here, change for Tombstone? But it wouldn't have been back in Wyatt Earp's day, as I said, because the railroad to Tombstone wasn't put in until 1902. So, not much history here. Okay, out. Taking my life in my hands a bit here. This could be rotted out. If I fall through this, I'm bloody hosed. I think this is one of my not very good decisions. One broken leg coming up. Okay, last little one. Okay, we're back on the ground. Whew. I suddenly realised that that wasn't a wise thing to do. Right, there's a sign here. Tells you Fairbank is just up here. We're just walking into it now. Okay, Fairbank. So, circle has almost not been broken. We've made it all the way back. One of these signs here, plaques, I love plaques, might tell us which particular railroad that was. This is all about water. Water in the silver mines. Okay. Ow. That's the post office. Of course, this is another line here. This was a major railroad junction here. I think there was 3 lines came through here, including the spur off to Tombstone. obviously a line that ran through here. Boom days, back when the Old West was young. Once called Kendal, it began as a stagecoach stop on the way to Tombstone. The wild characters that made Tombstone famous also walked the dusty streets of Fairbank. In the late 1880s, the construction of the Arizona and Southeastern Railroad spurred business activity in Fairbank, making it a major transportation hub. Here, people transferred trains or caught stagecoaches that carried them over bumpy roads to Tombstone, Bisbee, or other mining towns. Well, it doesn't say what other railroads used it. This is the other main track bed here, foreshore. And these are the buildings that remain. Over there, I believe, was a depot for the Arizona line, I think. Like sidings and shit. On the right track, here we are. People of Fairbank enjoyed exotic foods such as oysters on the half shell, packed in ice, and other goods brought in on the trains. Nearly everything moved by train, blah blah blah. So, we've got the El Paso and Southwestern Railroad, which is this puppy here and there, up to Tucson to the north. New Mexico and Arizona Railroad, going into Benson, coming through Contention, ran very close to the Grand Central Mill. Patagonia, Nogales, okay, yeah. So the track bed we've just walked was the New Mexico and Arizona Railroad. That did, yes, it went through Contention. Must have crossed the river here somewhere. And this is the spur off to Tombstone. Okay, so now you know. It wasn't any of the Pacifics at all. And the remains of the big marshalling yard still exist, site, and also the remains of the local station too. It's all there, and you can actually walk the track bed of the line from Contention to Fairbank. Obviously I haven't walked it on from there because Yuma's another 100 miles or so further on. But yeah, it's fascinating, and somehow or other it brings that movie to life, knowing that it all happened just where I was living. Well, it didn't really happen at all, it's fiction, but I think you know what I mean. So I hope when it's finished, when I've gone through my archives and cut in the clips from the movie that I shot at the time, it will show you what it all looks like now and what it's like to live in the Arizona desert. And I must admit, I miss it. Sat here in this tropical paradise, I miss the Arizona desert. But when I was in the Arizona desert, I missed here. You know, what can you do? I'm just a contemporary, no, a contentious, cantankerous son of a bitch. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this short movie, and bye for now.